as soon as I heard that James Tynion IV was going to be writing Batman, what did I do? I smiled from ear to ear. And, I have a ton of reasons for that. I really do. And I'm excited for it because, well, I love his writing, for one. And so that puts me in a little bit of a biased position. But that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Enjoying the creators that you enjoy and loving their writing style. Well, I love what he's doing. I've bought every issue of Justice League Dark that's come out so far, up until 15. I don't have it yet. But, look, I have tons of other reasons for being really excited about this, and that's what this video is about, in fact. So, hey, let's just dive into it. So, as soon as I found that out, I was like, you know what, let's go to his timeline and just check out what he's saying, And I was just blown away by this, because this is not something that happens all the time, right? You have this thing, in movies and all kinds of art, people feel, I think sometimes, that they're, above the opinions of critics or fans or whatever. You find a bunch of Hollywood directors just blocking people in mass, and, writers blocking people in mass, not listening to criticism, But as soon as I got there, I see all of this stuff, and it's absolutely inspiring to see that he is asking, what Batman villains do you want to see pop up in 2020? And then you have Robert Willing saying Bane and Clayface, or Baby Doll. That's cool, that he's asking about those things. That's really neat that he's respecting what the characters fans want. And I think that's a little bit different than creating your own intellectual property. That's all I'm going to be involved in right now. I'm not handing down or accepting the torch from a classic character in any way. I'm building my own characters. And so, just like here's a great example. I ran into so his name is Nick Patera, and I didn't know who he was, but he had written or helped Jonathan Hickman. He's a co-writer of the Manhattan Projects, which, by the way, Jonathan Hickman's my favorite writer in comics. He's just absolutely incredible. And so, I bumped into him completely by accident, this dude, and we ended up talking. And he said that, and this is a quote directly, I pulled up this tweet on my phone. He says, "There's a yin and yang regarding art, which I think is essentially truth distilled through an individual. Art is honesty on paper. If I sit down to write or draw with you specifically what you specifically want in mind versus what's in my heart, it's no longer my expression." I really liked that, and it really hit home with me, and so I retweeted it and I thought about it some more. And that is definitely the case with intellectual properties. When you're writing something that's all yours, because it's yours, And I think it's a little bit different with these classic characters like Batman, that are being handed down. And so to see a creator do this, to see Tynion do this, freaking fantastic. I mean, that is just absolutely great. And you just see more of this. And I want to read some of these responses too, because there's some good ones that, from some of my friends that I have on Twitter. This was the first post out of all of these, and he said, "What do you all want to see in a Batman comic book?" Again, I just think that's wonderful that he's even asking, that he cares. That says a lot, because I don't feel like the last writer really wanted to know. He really just wanted to do what he wanted, and that's fine, I guess. It's just not my thing, So this is another one of the guys that I talk with and follow on Twitter, Skip and Tosh. He says, "Thank you for even asking, fam. I just wrote, I'm not going to read a Batman comic for a long time. Now I'm fine with changing my word and buying one of your Batman books. Thank you again for caring about us, the customers." So other people agree, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to see other people just really inspired by that, And look, some people, they brought up, hey, I didn't like Tynion's run on Detective Comics because I felt like it was just a team book. I felt like he kind of changed some of the continuity, stuff like that, you know. And he said, you know, he didn't focus on Batman. And I definitely understand, you know, and this guy right here, I guess, I don't know who he is. His name's Bruce Alonzo. He says, what you said here sounds great. I didn't enjoy your detective run because it was turned into a team book. But if you give us this, I'm sure it'll turn out great. And this is what Tynion said. He said, I love writing stories for Batman, you know, Eternal, Detective Comics, and Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But my desire to tell a Batman story, one focused solely on Bruce Wayne instead of an ensemble, is what drove me back to the Batcave. I like how I put that. I want to dig deep into the Bat himself and tell an epic story that pushes him to his absolute limits. I want to tell a Batman story like the kinds I grew up loving. One that embraces the horror and the gothic elegance of Gotham and dives deep into Batman's greatest villains. Bam. There you have it. Cool. Just totally, that's awesome, guys. Just seriously, I really dig it. You know, one of my good buddies that I talk to a lot online, Ash on Comics, he's got a channel as well. He says, I want to see Batman as the Dark Knight, as a man married to Gotham who risks everything to protect her, not a man married to a criminal. I rarely be involved with the Bat family, is an absolute badass who triumphs against insurmountable odds and as an alpha male. I dig it. I think that's cool, and I do think that that's who Batman is, essentially. He's a leader, you know, he's a take charge kind of guy. So very cool. And this last one from another one of my buddies that I follow, he says, I want to see new villains and less deconstruction of Batman. We've had enough of that to last a lifetime. A lot of folks agree to that. I'm going to give that a little bit of a like as well. I agree with that. You know, Batman, you know, you want Batman to be heroic. You know, you want to delve into his character, but too many deconstructions really turns people off. You know, we don't need this to be the boys. You know, we don't need everything. This is Batman. You know what I mean? So I left a short note as well, you know, and I said that I wanted to see writing that shows his enduring spirit and his determination. I love it when writers capture his depth as well. Bruce has an ongoing internal struggle where, on one hand, his conscious driving force is to get rid of all criminal activity, acting out his desire for his parents to have justice. But subconsciously, the mask of Batman has become such an important part of Bruce's identity that, inside, he can't allow crime to end. That means that Bruce would have to confront some difficult emotions, and essentially, he would no longer have an excuse for keeping those that he loves at a distance. I love to see this captured well, his internal conflict. Writers who capture the inner conflict of characters always have written my favorite stories. I really appreciate how you captured Detective Chimp's internal conflict. And that's very true. I love Justice League Dark for that reason exactly, for the way that he captured what's going on inside of Detective Chimp. And the biggest thing about that, it was a short little part of an arc, you know? It was only about 2 or 3 issues, you know? But on one hand, you see Detective Chimp and his desire to help, you know, his absolute love for humanity, for his friends. And on the other hand, you see his reluctance, you know, and you see that manifest in his drinking problem, you know. I really love the symbolism there. He said, you know, and the chimp drinks, you know, and he kept on drinking through that one issue. And I thought it was just captured very well, you know, on that whole thing that goes back to Spider-Man's with great power comes great responsibility, you know. And, you know, Chimp was given this powerful sword to, you know, protect an entire mythical world, you know, a whole other dimension. It was up to him at that point. So what does he do? He shirks his responsibility because of that internal conflict, and he uses his drinking as an excuse. It's so good. Oh man, it's so good. Chimp is a very complex character, and the way that James really just got into it and showed that to us. That was deep, and I appreciate it. I continue to read Justice League Dark as one of my favorite books, and I'll stick with it. It's really good, as well as I will buy the new Batman books. You can count on that. So I just think that all of this is wonderful. Now, I want to get to the second reason that I'm really excited that Tynion is going to be writing Batman coming up. And, the biggest reason is if you look through his timeline, again, I would say that it's his epic beard, because that's really looking cool these days. He's growing that out, and hey, beards are great, but that's not the reason. If you look through his timeline, and I challenge you to go to some of who you consider to be your very favorite writers, artists, and go to their Twitter and look and see what they have to say if you're not blocked by them, first off. Mass blocked. And look to see what they have to say about life, about whatever, because the Twitter feed is really how you get to see what's going on inside of people, and look, this very first post is someone's in the hospital. A friend and mentor, Tom Light, is in the hospital, and he retweets, "Let's send some positive energy or prayers to Tom." That's really great. I mean, that's the first post. And then here we go. You see some self-promotion. The artist, Ethan Young, for just a beautiful book. This is going to be the next review that I put up on my YouTube channel. Something is Killing the Children. Tynion is promoting his own work. See, that's great. You don't see a ton of that from a lot of these folks. You just see a lot of fighting, honestly. And then we continue to go down. Just awesome Batman art, cool Superman stuff. Him talking about his life, talking about he's at the Capitol. His cab driver politely apologized to him. That's great. And that's how he knows that he's home, And this is a great post right here. He says, "Okay, time to fly. Have a nice Friday. Beware of laughing clowns with gifts, strange men with umbrellas, and anything with a question mark on it." See, that's cute, and I'm gonna retweet that. I thought that was really cool. He's talking about his life, but he's talking about Batman. And look what he says here. He says, "My priorities for 2020. Batman is an action horror book driven by exciting mystery. In every issue, I want to showcase key pieces of the mythos, from new vehicles to redefined key locations, and your favorite Gotham villains. But the thorough line, first and foremost, is Bruce Wayne." So look, this is going to kind of be a short video, but if you go all the way through his timeline, you see absolutely nothing but positivity. You see him talking up another writer here, about some of their favorite things that they were talking about comics, one of his mentors from back in the day. You see a lot of great stuff. And look, those are the kinds of things that I think are missing from the comic book industry. You see, a lot of fighting back and forth between different people with different values, and I get it. I really do. There's always been a time when I've kind of bought into that conflict, and there doesn't need to be a conflict. What we can do is just simply lift up other writers, other artists, talk about our passions, and have fun, and that's what Tynion is doing. And again, everybody, hey, strive to be more like this guy. I know that may sound silly, but he's an inspiration, and if he's watching this video, then good. I'm glad he knows that I feel that way, because again, I love his work, and it's good to be positive. And so I guess I'll leave on that note. Hey, look, I do a lot of critical analysis of a lot of my favorite comic books these days. I'm going into, some more positive stuff where I really just want to talk about my favorite kind of writing, what inspires me, and why I love the kind of writing style that I do. And so I'm making a lot of videos about that, and I'm talking about my writing process, my own writing. In fact, my featured video up at the very top of my channel is kind of about character first building. So I hope you'll check out some of my writing videos, and I hope you'll check out some of my comic book reviews. I'm really stuck on Hickman's X-Men. It's the best thing I'm reading right now. I hope that you will check it out as well. You are the gateway into comics.